Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. This is ExperiencePoints, and we are there. We finally done it. We made it. High fives all around. This is the end. Every single mission has been brilliantly achieved, and we have done it all, except for the Donbas snip. So let's get to it. Wow, this has taken such a long time. I have 301 hours on my Steam account for playing this game, and that includes every campaign mission, the introductory mission, and the scenario missions for all the DLC, which are where you get to play the opposite side in the black and red turns. So, wow, there are custom scenarios, but I don't believe I'm going to do brilliant victories on those. There's not a guarantee that they actually did come out. So this one is rather challenging, to say the least, and took a while to get. So we're just going to have a look at the battlefield and go from there. So supply, as you can see on your side, it's all from the west here and the northwest. You may remember this map actually from the dash to the Donets, which is well, there's the Donets River. So yeah, it's great how you got that continuity in it. But over here, a range of 4. Now this comes as a significant issue when you start thinking about your objectives being outside of that range, particularly when you consider this forest area here. These parts are always going to be out of supply. Now you do have reinforcement powers, or supply powers, which are actually, I think 4 times you can do a supply drop. Also important to note that the enemy supply is bountiful and impossible to cut off, so it's not even worth attempting. Is that meant to be an airfield? And do you get like air powers if you capture it? That would have been interesting actually if this game incorporated on-screen elements to actually be part of your supply powers that you get, whether it's bridge building or reinforcement and stuff. That would have been a really good feature. Weather, it's snowed over, so that's not an issue. This game keeps wanting to go forward. So beyond that, objectives, all turn 7 and all in the east or in the southeast. Other important thing to note about this map, very quickly, is bridges. Now, you have a river, and that river is the only way you're going to survive this, which means you have to control bridges, because the enemy will scream across them, and the defensive bonus you get from the river, which I believe is a +3 defense, is absolutely essential. Because if you allow them through, particularly around here, they're just going to cave straight through and you get crushed. So yeah, I've played this a few times, and the strategy I have here works pretty well, so it should be a good guide. So let's get to it. First thing I'm going to do, reorganize. Now you may think, whoa, why would you do that? Well, you may just notice I reorganized the armor, because these units, if they get into an overrun situation, can be crushed. So at least this way I can increase this by 3 units, 3 unit parts, and this by 1. So we're going to have super units. Next I reorganized, as you saw, 2 of these German security units in the back. And from here we're now going to draw a defensive line. Do not leave the units here without any sort of defensive bonus that's of significant value. You will be crushed. I have found that they haven't really had a desire, the enemy that is, to cross in these sections. And putting a guy here is a waste, because you want to keep entrenchments where you can. And these guys are pretty strongly entrenched. Okay, here I'm trying to use weak units, which are these Italian units, because I want to cover up these gaps. Now they're going to take a pounding, but they're going to do significant damage when they are hammered as well. And I put this unit here because I need him to have a guy on this square to begin with, because there are quite strong units here and I don't want them to get in the bridgehead. They have special steps to T-34's and artillery, and we need to control that. Again, I'll swap them out later. So as you see, next, I need to get across the bridge. Now this is something I picked up from the Unity Command forums, and I thought this was actually a really good idea. Get across the bridge, because it's very important that you start to actually make a progression down into here, and do it really quickly. So as you see, I haven't moved this army unit because I want him to cross, because I want to destroy this unit so that I can actually take this supply route. I have tried scenarios where I've gone up this way with my main armor, and I've actually been able to make a defensive line up in here and here, but then all this gets filled up and it's not really possible to go through. So using your supply route is quite important there. As you see, I crossed back over the river. We wouldn't need to keep this guy in supply. These are your SS motorized, so they're a lot stronger than just normal motorized units. As you see, a 6.4 to a 7.5. So it's important to German security reinforces these units. Now, you don't really have that much you can play with here. So unfortunately, this is really, I'm just going to pause this. Important to keep a strong line, not to remove entrenchment from these units at all. They're quite crucial. Also, we want to make sure that we can connect this supply up here and possibly go from here as well, which means you have to swap units in and out to keep them in supply. The enemy supply, as you see, is quite bountiful, except for just in here. If we cut the bridge off, we can definitely make these whole area unpopulatable, unsupplyable. So the enemy is just going to now press my lines. As you see, they did cross over here, but I'm not concerned. It's a 2-2 versus a 4-3, so it's really a 2-to-3 ratio there, plus entrenchment, which gives me a bonus. Okay, so here you see I'm already on the back foot, but this unit did quite a nice job. These units are powerful, but again, they're still weak. The whole problem is the enemy has significant numbers, and if you were the Axis, you could probably win this. Sorry, the Soviet forces, you could probably win this. So as you see, reinforcing here. Luckily, they couldn't capitalize and destroy these units, but I'm making full turn. The most powerful units increase. If I get something that's only a 1, then I'm going to reorganize it into something again like this that would be significantly more powerful. Because of the strength of this unit, I'm actually bringing him down because I want to have him populate in here, and I am moving these entrenched units because they are much more effective now. Instead of having 2 units here, I can block the river, and I can be in supply while I'm doing that. Okay, so these units here are making significant efforts towards this objective, and it's really easy to take. It's just really hard to keep. I've had times where I've taken these 2 objectives, lost this one, and been unable to take it back and populate it. So airstrikes, it's always good to do that at the start of something that's going to be a quite difficult battle. And I definitely need to connect it up because he needs to be resupplied. And that was just painful. I lost the advantage that I just gained. Deep sigh. But there we go. Now we have to kill this guy. Oh, again, painful. You can't really afford to lose, and you also can't afford to put anything but your best step forward because of the strength of the enemy units. They're basically at near or no one's at full strength, but they are at near strength. So here we go. Their counter. You're gonna notice that 2 things will happen. They'll try to create a breakthrough around here, which will be decimated. Secondly, they'll shift their forces towards the south east there. So they're going to come across this bridge, they're going to be coming across this bridge, and they're going to be just feeding in. So the sooner I can block this, the sooner I can make it a lot harder for them to come through. So as you see, I'm getting generally assaulted across the entire front, which is something you really have to consider. And yeah, there you go. Units can't survive the sort of constant onslaught that's happening, and these airstrikes can be absolutely devastating. Oh, that was a nice defense. Well done. He deserves the the Iron Cross there. Also, if you don't have some sort of threat on that side of the river, like armor, they will cross. And if some of these units cross, they are very hard to dislodge, especially when they have artillery defense or their other power, which is your T-34s, or they have their rockets. So you are looking at significant issues. Okay, so here we go. You can see, quite honestly, whatever we do is going to be a struggle, but we're at full supply or nearly full supply, so we are able to be aggressive. And when we attack, we want to really hammer in some of these bigger units, because we want to make sure that they can't actually overcome our defense. So that's why I'm attacking them as opposed to destroying these piddly little units. Yeah, that was painful. So I am retreating him back, but I want to destroy that unit, so I'm definitely going to capitalize where I can. I'm expecting him to be destroyed, but he's always a placeholder, and there you go. Supply drops. Let's just consider this. You're out of supply here. You will be out of supply. Let's see, that's a 1. I'm assuming that's really hard to tell. That there is going to be a 2. So yeah, that'll be out of supply. I believe on these 2, which means to keep this objective, or more importantly take the river, in the bridgehead, you have to airdrop, and you only have 4 of them. The good thing is you only have to go by turn 7. So if you hold off giving yourself air supply, and with that power, you can actually hold significant areas. So here we go. We want to get rid of the biggest threat, or damage him, which is the artillery. Okay, my goal is to make a push towards this objective because it is going to be quite difficult. Also, my logic is I'm able to cut off, not in supply because they have supply down here, but always cut off the physical movement of reinforcements along this area. Not the bridge, unfortunately. Important to note that they will, we retreated there, but they won't capitalize, so it's okay. Important to note, cavalry, horsemen are going to be a thorn in the side because they are able to move such great distances. So, that was painful. And see, if he wasn't fully upgraded, that would have been absolutely devastating, and he could have been annihilated. That's why I reinforced, reorganized the other armored unit and reinforced it. Yeah, actually, cavalry units can move so far. They can move 5, which is good as a tank, except when you convert attack to movement points. So it's very important there. So I guess to feel like no matter what you do, you're not exactly going to be able to cut off units. You're always going to have to deal with units surrounding you. I'm not sure why I did that. I think it's because I misclicked. I was probably a little bit tired there. But that was a great result. We're going to be able to decimate him, which is quite nice. Okay, there we go. Now he had an overrun, which is nice. He has an overrun. So wanting to be careful because I wouldn't want to do that anymore because nasty, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to resupply him except by airdrop. So there is going to be a tension. As you see, I'm actually pulling back here because I don't have the numbers. So this is sort of where I'm like, okay, I have a clearing, I've made a breach. Let's just let those units do what they got to do. They can take the objective. They can hold on to it on their own. Then we're going to have to sort of pull back and slog out again towards this southern objective. So as you see, it's you can kind of clear something out, you can make your gaps, but you just can't quite capitalize on it. You can't keep pressure up. It's not like the was it the second cutoff mission, the first mission you play at the as the Axis in Stalingrad campaign, and you just have overwhelming numbers. You can make a breach and then capitalize it, and then they have to quickly fall back with the Soviet tactics as they fall back and then create another defensive line. In this one, very thin numbers. There's no real way to dig in, or I should say to advance forward and to really hold what you take. So careful. And that airstrike, yeah, as I said, I've replayed this because I came so close to getting a brilliant victory a few times. and I just had to find that strategy that worked. And certainly you are given really weak units, which I use up here because they become more of a punching bag, but they're at least allowing me to use better units down here. Okay, so you can see that the Soviets have used a considerable number of troops, and have lost a lot of troops already, but they haven't been able to capitalize on breaches. Here we go, so we're going to take the objective. We need to take it. We only have 2 more turns. Or should we say 3? No, 2. No, 3 turns, because 5, 6, 7. I am trying to... Here, I kind of made a mistake. And I'm going to fix it next turn. This unit has a stronger attack. I want to swap these 2 units around so that I'm putting my best foot forward in engaging the units down here. Which to me is very important. So as you see, up here I have this unit held because I wanted a strong presence on this. Perhaps because it's only a 5, it's a 5 to 3. I could have, and this is something I actually have to feel out, used this unit to punch through the defensive line down here and had something of relative substance, for example this unit here, go into this hexagon. He's still going to be able to withstand a tremendous amount of abuse at the same time as hold the objective and allow me to redirect my strength to where it's needed. So we are doing quite well. Even defensive units with the river bonus do quite well there. Over here you see they did breach. It's too late for them to really affect my supply line, so I'm okay. But yeah, you can see that there are issues there. Now we've only got 2 more turns of attack, and we are clustered. We're not near the objective. We're sort of all over the place. Okay, so as you see there, I swapped out. And now I'm trying to get as close to the objective as I can. Pretty much now, I know I've only got this attack turn in the next one, so no matter what, as long as this unit gets supplied, we'll be fine, which I think I might have an airdrop left to do that. I'm just punching towards the objective, using whatever units I have, which is the difference between the gameplay and reality. Obviously in reality I couldn't. I'll have it how it gives you confined when the unit is already confined. I suppose it's because he couldn't retreat, which is why I got that confined. Okay, so I didn't bother worry about resupplying these guys because I have to take the objective on the next turn anyway. All that matters is that we get this resupplied there. Yep. And it looks like for this map you have 3 steps of resupply per turn. So here we're just doing our airstrikes down in the south. As you see, we are completely out of supply and suppressed in our other objectives. So yeah, this mission is by a skin of your teeth situation. But there you go. That's how it's done. Whew, it's intense. It really is micromanagement. It really is putting the best unit in the best place at all times. I even think this probably could have been done a little bit easier if, say, for example, I took this weak unit, which are a 2-2, a 1-1, for example, and replace them higher up over here. The enemy will cross the river if they had the opportunity, but they don't seem to capitalize. And when he did cross over here around turn 6 or 7, sorry, turn 6 I should say, he never had a chance to do anything with that anyway. I think with this mission, you probably could play this like if you retreated all your units over here and shifted them down. Maybe you could put 1 or 2 more units down this end without moving these entrenchment bonuses you have, so without moving the units. But it feels like it's always going to be a close one. To be true, and it certainly seems like Stalingrad is still somewhere. I'm assuming Stalingrad's over here somewhere, which is probably just because that looks familiar. So I'm assuming Stalingrad is just off screen to the east there. So obviously they had the punch to keep going in reality. So it would have been interesting to look at the history of this actual operation. But there we go. We've done everything in this game until the expansion packs comes out. So from here, I don't quite know what I'm going to do next. I've been playing XCOM a little bit, but it's not quite as engaging, I guess, as this, with having to get certain places in certain times. So I guess I'm just looking around to see what strategy game to do next. So if you have any suggestions, that would be pretty cool. Beyond that, this has been a lot of fun, and I hope this has really helped. It's certainly been an enjoyable game with. It's just been so much depth, easy to learn, and then just the depth of what the special steps do, etc. And just trying to figure out how each map was designed to be played. But yes, so this has been Experience Points. I hope you gained some experience in all these campaign maps, and I hope you had a lot of fun, because this has been a lot of fun. So I'm going to leave it here and say cheers, guys, and happy hunting on your own campaigns, and achieving glorious victories, or I should say brilliant victories. Cheers.